Your home for sports. Guaranteed human. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Carl Schoening.
Welcome into the starting lineup. I'm Carl Schoening, starting at your host and the voice coming through your speakers. LG is in the starting lineup with me as the technical director. Will A.J. Brown get traded? What do the Thunder do from here? And the NCAA baseball tournament has its Sweet 16, but we're in San Antonio, Texas, and the only thing I really want to talk about is Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals and Game 1 of the NBA Finals as the San Antonio Spurs knock off the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champions, 111-103 in OKC on Saturday night for their biggest win in recent memory of the franchise's history, and they punched their ticket to their 7th NBA Finals, the first one with Victor Wembanyama, and man, what a night it was for the Spurs on Saturday night. It was a lot of anxiety, I'm sure, for a lot of fans, but the good news is that the Spurs were ahead most of the time. There were only a couple lead changes. Oklahoma City never really able to pull away when they did have a little bit of momentum, meaning the Spurs answered back every punch that they faced, and they move on to the NBA Finals. The Corgi was right. I hope that there is a spike in Corgi adoptions in San Antonio as for those of you that don't know, Air Corgi, Steph Furry, whatever that, I think Leo might be the dog's real name. It's a she, by the way. She is a social media star that predicted the Spurs would win not only in 7 games, but the exact order of how those 7 games would be won. A little bit of a fun game where her owner tosses up a basketball and there's 2 trash cans, one that has the OKC logo and one that has the Spurs logo, and the ball would go into the trash can to predict the winner, and it went Spurs, Thunder, Thunder, Spurs, Thunder, Spurs, Spurs, and that's exactly how it happened. Spurs win it in 7 and pass perhaps their biggest test of a season that's been full of tests, facing elimination twice. San Antonio comes away with the series win. Victor Wembanyama plays 42 minutes, drops 22 points, makes 3 threes, grabs 7 rebounds, a steal, and a block. Julian Champagnie, Lightning strikes twice on the Thunder, with Champagnie having 20 points as he did in Game 5 up there in OKC. And every starter was in double figures. De'Aaron Fox had his best game of the series after missing the first 2 games in Oklahoma City. 15 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 11 points for Devin Vassell, including the exclamation point slam dunk at the end of regulation that put it away. And Stephon Castle was great on both ends of the court. Finished with 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. And then off of the bench, Harper and Keldon Johnson, the 2 Sixth Man of the Year candidates for the Spurs. One of them winning it, obviously, and Keldon Johnson, the NBA's Sixth Man of the Year. Harper, a star in the making. Both finished with double figures, and the Spurs come away with the win to punch their ticket to the finals to take on the New York Knicks, who have been waiting for what feels like a month for this matchup. I do want to get into the game real quick. It started off with the Spurs coming out hot, punching first, and just creating a little bit of arm's length separation. There was a moment in the first quarter where the Spurs were up by 10. And then the second quarter, Oklahoma City started to find some momentum. Before the end of the half, they go on a run that actually puts them ahead by 3. And the Spurs respond with a 7-0 run to take them into the locker rooms. And that was perhaps not the biggest moment, but if there were 5 or 6 big moments within that game, that has to be one of them, because Oklahoma City could have taken all the momentum going into the locker room. It could have really had the crowd excited for the second half, and instead the Spurs took the 3-point lead going into the halftime break. And then in the second half, this was an interesting stat that NBC showed. The Thunder were able to take a quick lead, and it was the first time since Game 1 of the series that there was a lead change in the second half, which just kind of goes to show to you how there was really lopsided games between 1 and Game 7. And we knew that there were several blowouts throughout the series, but in that particular case, once again, the Spurs were able to answer back. And then, oddly enough, very surprisingly, as much as everybody was very anxious, I could tell through social media and just the general vibe of watching the game. This game did not enter what is considered clutch time territory, where it's 5 points or less under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. And I think that just shows something that we've seen all year from the Spurs. The Oklahoma City Thunder had the MVP in SGA. SGA also won the Clutch Player of the Year award, but the Spurs, they didn't have anybody in the running for Clutch Player of the Year because that's sort of been what they've done all season long. They have created enough distance to keep their opponents arm's length, and anytime they tried to make a run late, the Spurs, in their way to 62 wins in the regular season, were able to just sort of keep them far enough away that it might not have even registered as a clutch time game. If it did, maybe just for a few seconds. And that's a big part of why the Spurs are successful, is they don't let it get down to the final buzzer all that often. And San Antonio wins 111-103 to get to the finals. Some other things that were really standing out in this game: obviously, no J-Dub, no A.J. Mitchell. The Thunder were without two of their three best ball handlers and shot creators. A.J. Mitchell, somebody who was on a Sixth Man of the Year campaign himself throughout the year. J-Dub, somebody who last year won All-NBA and was an All-Defensive Team member. Not having him the majority of the series definitely hurt the Thunder. And you sort of had other guys step up and you had other guys not step up. I do want to say that I feel like, in a way, bullying worked, because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander drops 35 points on 12 of 21 shooting and gets to the free throw line 11 times, converts on 9 of them, also has 9 assists. Easily SGA's best game of the series. And LG, you were at the watch party at the Frost Bank Center, and I don't know how much you actually got to watch the game live then. And
I actually got to watch the whole game.
Yeah. Is it weird to say that I think that SGA, and we said this going after Game 6, and I feel like it carried true almost even more so into Game 7. SGA was not looking to sell the call as nearly as much as he was.
He had like maybe 2 or 3 flops, and some of them weren't called. A couple of them were.
Yeah.
But there was that 3-point shot when Devin Vassell went flying over there, and
that was
SGA kind of flew to his left to make the, draw the contact, and yeah, that was a bad call. That was a flop, obvious flop. But
yeah, and
he reduced the amount of times he was falling to the floor on jump shots. That's what I'll say he did.
And to that point, I feel like he was making more of his jump shots with confidence. I felt like SGA looked like an actual basketball player. He was not hitting the deck for, what he says is his protection of an injury. Maybe that's where it came from, and it started to be sort of a safety measure for him that he didn't realize the discourse of it would turn him into a known flopper. And
I think that it got to him. I think that's what happened. He saw all the comments. He saw that the headlines weren't about how good of a team either of the teams were. All the comments were about OKC flopping and the bad officiating.
Yeah, and to tell you what, SGA, if he has this performance where he just plays basketball straight up throughout the course of the series, Thunder might win this. They might take Game 1. They might take Game. Well, they probably don't take Game 4. But the Thunder probably take Game 1, and the winner of Game 1 ended up winning the series. So the fact that they sort of really bought into that, I think that Game 5 being the flop fest that it was really started to catch the attention of the NBA and the officials. And that was sort of the beginning of SGA deciding to flip the switch, but also the officials probably let the Thunder know, hey, you guys got away with a lot in Game 5 that we're not going to allow you to get away with here in Game 6 and Game 7. And the other thing that the Thunder got wrong is somehow not figuring out a way to get Chet Holmgren involved. That is probably mostly on Chet Holmgren, but the guy only shoots 2 shots in the first, 4 minutes of the game, and then he proceeds to play another 29 minutes on the court and does not put up another shot attempt. This is somebody who averaged 18 points in the first 8 games of the playoffs en route to 2 sweeps, shot 60% from the field, and is a as I've been saying, a mini Victor Wembanyama, and he did not seem involved at all. He did have a few defensive plays. He had 2 steals, 2 blocks, and there were times where it looked like he was not involved on the offensive side of the ball, but then he would make a play on defense to sort of make up for it, but he is nowhere near the player that they need him to be. And the question is, now he has a supermax contract, or he has a max contract that's kicking in. That's $230 million starting next year for over the next 5 years. Does he seem worth it if he's going to play like that? And this isn't the first time he's played like that. He sort of played like this against the Pacers as well last year in the NBA Finals. Is he somebody that maybe is going to be in conversations for a trade to see if the Thunder will get Giannis Antetokounmpo? Maybe that's something that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. What do the Thunder do from here? But the most important thing is, at least as far as this show is concerned, the San Antonio Spurs advance to the NBA Finals. Can I get a honk? We got a honk in there, LG? Yeah? Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, yep. I threw LG off. I live in Stone Oak, and it was honking like wild all the way up to the outer loop. And the videos of just how ridiculous San Antonio was on Saturday night to celebrate the Spurs victory was phenomenal. I was super excited for the city and all the energy that everybody brought. Everybody went honking. Hopefully nobody actually needed their horn. There it is. Yeah, there's so many Spurs celebration videos out there, and the city has never been more hyped for a Wednesday, as they will be coming up here for the game 1 of the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks.
Yeah, and how about Nike with the drone show downtown over the Tower of Americas? When I saw that ad go out on Twitter, I thought it was, fake, VFX.
Yeah. So did I. Yeah.
And then it turns out it was real.
Yeah, seeing all the videos of people like posting and say, oh, yeah, that is real. Okay, so no, in fact, I need to actually let my mom know, because I thought that it was also something that was going to be put out like, it was done like 2 weeks ago, all VFX in somebody's computer, and it would be put out when Wemby won. But no, Nike, shout out to y'all. That
got
was
the
impressive.
money. They turned the Tower. If you haven't seen the video, look it up on social media. They turned the Tower of Americas into a UFO, basically, shining green light going down the tower to make it look like a beam of green light. And then they flew a drone light show above it that created an alien head and a Nike logo. And yeah, impressive.
Yeah, it really was. A couple wrap-up notes here about Game 7. We will probably touch on it again here a little bit later in the show. Harrison Barnes only played 3 minutes, but for the second time in his career and for the 8th time in NBA history, a player playing on his birthday in a Game 7 is undefeated. So even though HB only got 3 minutes in there, I like the superstition that the Spurs were able to continue that trend.
Go, shorty.
Yeah,
it's your birthday.
We all really appreciate the vet Harrison Barnes in there. And we have Carter Bryant, who only played 3 minutes, had 2 points. And I, for the life of me, am just trying to remember his 2 points. And
it was a running layup.
Yeah, I was about to say it wasn't a dunk, and it wasn't free throws. So that was big. Luke Cornett off of the bench. When Wemby picked up his 5th foul, Luke went in to check in. The Spurs ended up using a timeout, and Luke comes in. And within the first few moments of him coming in, Dylan Harper commits, I believe it was his only turnover of the game, only a second turnover of the game. And Isaiah Hartenstein looks like he's about to have a breakaway layup. And Luke Cornett, after being blessed by the Salation sisters, had an ankle magically give him the sprinting speed that he needed to meet Hartenstein at the rim and get the block. And that proceeds to be the biggest play of the series, arguably. A little bit later, another guy came off the bench. We talked about Dylan Harper already. He hits this step-back three-pointer that gave the Spurs, I don't know, I don't have the play-by-play up right away, but it was the Spurs' 107th point. And that ended up being the dagger because Oklahoma City only scored 103. But that was a big bucket by Dylan Harper. Your rookie makes a step-back three-pointer, one of the two made threes. He only shot 3 threes by Dylan Harper, and that comes away to be the biggest bucket of the night for D-Harp. And, you know, I got to give Dylan Harper a lot of shout-outs. Anytime he seemed to have made a mistake, he made up for it. He probably kept Steph Castle in the game with the viral moment where Castle looked like he was about to retaliate against Alex Caruso for what I thought should have been a flagrant foul. And Harper dives on the floor and gives a bear hug to Steph to make sure that that does not turn into an escalation for a technical or what have you. And I'm a little disappointed that the officials didn't call that a flagrant foul. However, it felt like, you know, fair enough to play on at that point. I'm really upset that they didn't call a flagrant foul against Jared McCain, who seemed to pull a wrestling move and almost dislocate the shoulder of Devin Vassell a little bit later in the game. But all is well that seems to have ended well. Doesn't seem like the Spurs picked up any more injuries. They celebrate, come back to San Antonio with the Oscar Robertson Western Conference Championship trophy, and they punch their ticket to the NBA Finals, where they have a rematch of the NBA Cup Final against the New York Knicks. We'll dive into that on the other side. Oh, it's a celebration Monday here in San Antonio. The Spurs are going to the finals. Yes. All right, we talk about how the Spurs match up with the Knicks on the other side here on the starting lineup.
San Antonio, the future of the Spurs starts now. Join Ticket 760 for live NBA Draft Night coverage Tuesday, June 23rd, as we break down every pick, every trade, and what it means for the Silver and Black.
Victor Wembanyama, windmill right-hand jam.
We're broadcasting live from The Rock. Who will the Spurs add to their dynamic lineup? Find out with us. NBA Draft Night, Tuesday, June 23rd on Ticket 760 and on the free iHeartRadio app.
There's another one and another one.
Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving Vassell the boards as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go. Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tidy Little Financial Consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Huebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in-store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Huebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Huebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Huebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
Ready to upgrade to the perfect sleep setup? Let Mattress Firm sleep experts guide you to the perfect bed at the Memorial Day sale. Top brands, ideal comfort. Score unbeatable deals on both. They make sleep easy.
With iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. If you manage a business or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. Again, that's iHeartAdvertising.com.
If you've been injured in an accident, you know there's no shortage of attorneys who want your business. But when it comes to results, the numbers speak for themselves. Thomas J. Henry secured over $1 billion for clients in the past 4 years. We've successfully represented thousands of injured Texans, earning over 12,000 five-star reviews on Google. So who is the right attorney for you? Just look at the numbers. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust. San Antonio, Texas.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
GimmeTheVin.com has made it fast. We've made it easy, and we're the only 5-star BBB rated car buyer out there.
Sell us your car. GimmeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Hey guys, this is Jamie from Black Swan Yoga San Antonio, and we would like to invite you to join our Summer 75 Challenge. It's running from June 1st to August 31st. Commit to taking 75 classes this summer, and you'll be entered to win yoga for life. This is more than a challenge. It's all about building community. If you're new to the studio, jump in on our summer sale starting May 22nd. The first month is half off of our OG rate, making the first month $44. You can't beat that. We can't wait to flow with you and hope you crush it on your challenge.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
It's the French Open, where every point is a battle on clay. I'd know. I competed there for decades. Join me, Renee Stubbs, on the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast for no-nonsense breakdowns of the biggest matches, the toughest players, and the moments that define Roland Garros.
Listen, Elena Rybakina is arguably the best player in the world right now, and I actually can win on any surface.
Search the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
No B team here. This is the starting lineup with Carl Schoening.
Starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. In the starting lineup with me, LG. You can reach out to me on Instagram and X at OnAirCarl. That is OnAirCarl with a K. So that'll be a way you can get in touch with us. You can reach out to LG at DJLG210, and there's other ways they get involved. Show LG.
Yeah, like jumping into the YouTube chat at Starting Lineup Live on YouTube. Hanover Fist is in here. He says, happy Monday, Starting Lineup crew. And he has some champagne emojis. Says, here's some Game 7 champagnes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. We'll pop some bubbly with you over this. Actually, I'm going to reserve the bubbly for a finals win.
Yeah. I think that there's plenty of reason to celebrate because I think the Spurs were the, nation's favorite to knock off the Thunder. OKC didn't really do themselves any favors of not being the villains. I think in the NBA, people get tired of you quickly, so that could be something that the Spurs have to deal with, as right now the Spurs are fun and new, but next year the Spurs might be hey, we want you to lose so we can get another champion, and obviously they got to win this championship first. Same thing could be said for the Knicks. We'll have to see what happens, but the Spurs, for now, I think it's okay to celebrate.
All right.
That seems fine.
In Seattle at the Mariners game, they cut into the Jumbotron there at the park, the ballpark up there, and played the final seconds of the Spurs defeating the Thunder, and the entire Seattle Mariners fan base just went crazy for the Spurs because they have so much hatred for the OKC Thunder for stealing their basketball team.
Yeah, I understand that. That's a tough one if you're a Seattle fan, because that's been a long, almost 20 years now since they've been gone, because I guess they left, I think it was 2008, 2009 season.
2008, yeah.
So that's been quite a while there for them without a team. Seattle looks like they're going to get a new team in an expansion soon enough, but it'll be their old team. The Sonics will be brought back, and in which case I think Oklahoma City will just do what we've sort of already done and separate the Oklahoma City records and give Seattle their franchise records back. So essentially, we'll have to redo some of the record books when that happens. But yeah, a lot of people were ready to see Oklahoma City go, and I think part of that is because Wemby is exciting, and they didn't want to see the SGA flopping discourse in the NBA Finals. And really, just quick ratings talk real quick. Spurs and Knicks is much more compelling to the world, not just the country, but the entire globe, than the Canadian-led Thunder taking on the Knicks. Because, let's see, who else on? You got Lou Dort and SGA, who are both Canadian on there. You have Isaiah Hartenstein, who's German, but he's an American German, and he's not really the best player on the team. So does Germany really care? I don't really think that there's anybody else, that is nobody that's a major player. Nikola Topic is obviously foreign, but none of their stars really have much global appeal outside of the North American continent. But now you have somebody like Victor Wembanyama, who is a global star for the Spurs, and you have the Knicks, who are the New York Knicks. Anytime the Knicks are good, it's better for basketball. And this is their first finals appearance since taking on the Spurs in 1999. We all know how that one went. Spurs won in 5. That was under the old format where the home team had the team with the home court advantage had the first 2 games, and then they would play 3 games on the road. So that means that pivotal game 5 would be in the team that didn't have the home court advantage. And then game 6 and 7 would be back with the home court advantage. And they changed that, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 7 years ago at this point. And it will be the typical 2-2-1-1-1 format. In fact, maybe they changed that right before or right after 2014. I'm having trouble remembering details like that. It might even be a decade ago now that they changed that to where the format mixes up. That used to be a rule to help the media members out who wanted to travel to both places. So as someone who I'm very interested in going to New York for games 3 and 4, I now understand that because I'm not going to go all the way back up to New York for game 6. So if they had somehow figured out a way to make it 3 through 5 once again, that could be to the detriment of the Spurs, but to the advantage of the people who don't want to do the back and forth, especially for all of the international media that comes to the NBA Finals. It will be a flood of people who are covering the finals, and I'm sure they would prefer San Antonio over Oklahoma City as well. And then New York, I mean, it's expensive, but it's New York, so there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff to do up there for the Knicks. But this is a business trip for the Spurs. The first time they played the Knicks this season was in the NBA Cup Championship. This one was not considered a regular season game. It was, quote-unquote, an 83rd game, if you will, and the Knicks won 124-113, and New York had a huge fourth quarter, outscoring the Spurs 35-19. That propelled them to that victory. Otherwise, it was a pretty even game. Spurs won the first quarter by 2. Second quarter was a tie at 31. Spurs won the third quarter by 3, but just a really good fourth quarter by the Knicks. Maybe gives the Spurs the extra momentum they need. Dylan Harper, as lip readers were kind of aggregating what was being said in the Western Conference Championship celebration, apparently said, let's get the Knicks back for the NBA Cup. So, just maybe that little bit of extra motivation can help the Spurs, at least for the first game here in the series that'll be in San Antonio. I need to actually go back and watch all of the highlights because in the regular season, the Spurs went 1-1 against the New York Knicks as they met twice, obviously, as the typical standard of the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference. They meet 3 times overall, and the Knicks have a 2-1 record over the Spurs. But the first time that they officially met in the regular season, the Spurs hosted in San Antonio on New Year's Eve, and the Spurs won it 134-132. That was a big game from Julian Champagnie to wrap up 2025 as he made 11 3-pointers, and the Spurs ended up winning 134-132, and that was 36 points from Julian Champagnie. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm 99% sure that's Champagnie's career high. Victor Wembanyama with 31 points, and De'Aaron Fox had 26. But on the other side, there was a 29-point game from Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns had 20, and Jordan Clarkson off the bench had 20. Notorious Spurs killer Jordan Clarkson. And if you remember, I think it was last year, maybe it was Wemby's rookie year. I'll have to go back and specify which one it was. the Spurs won in an epic where Jalen Brunson dropped 61 points in San Antonio. So this has been a fun series between the two teams, and there's some demons that need to be exercised out of MSG because it feels like the Spurs under Victor with Wembanyama on the roster have not necessarily played well in MSG. And the game in Madison Square Garden on March 1st was a blowout victory for the Knicks. I think it was a noon local time here in San Antonio, 1 o'clock start in New York City game. And if you guys will remember, this is my one criticism of the Spurs is I felt like they were a little bit slow in the regular season on day games. And as far as I know, there's no more day games. I'll have to double check the schedules now that tip times have come out. But I think every game is going to be played at night in this series. But the Spurs went undefeated in February. Their last loss before playing the Knicks on March 1st was January 31st, another day game against the Charlotte Hornets that actually got even moved up earlier to, I think, 11 o'clock local time, San Antonio, because of a storm that was happening. I think they called it a cyclone bomb in Charlotte, and the Spurs had to get out extra early, and they didn't get out. They didn't beat the storm. They were forced to stay in Charlotte and fly out the next day. So luckily, everybody stayed safe in that manner, and that feels like forever ago now, February 1st. But the Spurs proceeded to go February without a loss after losing to Charlotte in that day game. And then, if y'all will remember, the Spurs were in New York for 2 off days. So they played Brooklyn on I believe it was a Thursday, and then they had Friday and Saturday off, and then Sunday morning or Sunday early afternoon was when the Spurs played the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. And it felt like the Spurs were a little bit sluggish out of the gate and just they didn't score 30 once in a quarter in that game, and the Knicks were able to win it 114-89. And in that game, Victor Wembanyama actually did play well with 25 points, but nobody else scored 20 for the Spurs. Mikal Bridges had 25 points and Jalen Brunson had 24. All 5 starters scored double figures. And Mo Diawara had 14 points off of the bench. So, interesting thing to look at here on these games with the Spurs and the Knicks. There seems to be an X factor that you might not expect to make the impact in the NBA Finals like they made in the regular season. So we will definitely be breaking that down a lot more, especially tomorrow. That'll essentially be the whole show tomorrow as we also get ready for Game 1 on Wednesday. There's going to be plenty of storylines to talk about. There's going to be a media day to get to. We'll have plenty of availabilities that will play the sound back on here on the show. We'll dive into some of the more nitty-gritty details of the matchups. I will go back and watch the tape on all 3 matchups and give a little bit more thorough of thought process on how the Knicks can knock off the Spurs or vice versa. The Spurs knock off the Knicks. That would certainly be a series that I don't want to give a prediction on quite yet, but I feel pretty confident. There's this little break that maybe the Knicks are 100% more healed than the Spurs, or not 100%, but they're more healed than the Spurs, while the Spurs will get this nice 4-day break. They get to host Game 1, and they get a big sigh of relief finally knocking off Oklahoma City in a 7-game series where they face elimination in Game 6. They obviously face elimination in Game 7, go into a hostile environment, and punch their ticket to the finals where they will take on those New York Knicks, who do have a winning record against them in this 2025-2026 season. But on the other side of this break, there's some interesting notes on the Oklahoma City Thunder that I want to get into as they have hit their offseason. What do they do from here? And I do want to also touch on some notes from around the world of sports as the big story of will A.J. Brown get traded today happens. Today is the final deadline before some funky things with the NFL cap make it a little bit harder to move a big star like A.J. Brown. And in NCAA, the baseball tournament has gotten down to the super regional round. Talk about all that on the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
On June 1st, 2005, the Spurs bested the Phoenix Suns 101-95 in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals at Mortgage Matchup Center in a best-of-7 series, 4-1. Tim Duncan posted a double-double with 31 points and 15 rebounds while adding 3 blocked shots in 41 minutes. Manu Ginobili added 19 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Cody Parker chipped in 18 points as the Spurs advanced to their 3rd NBA Finals. That's today's Spurs Flashback. I'm Dan Weiss.
Live to back the silver and black? Make your fandom for real by joining the official Spurs fan club. It's the fastest free way to score exclusive access to all things Spurs. We're talking early access, exclusive giveaways, partner offers, and more. All sent straight to your inbox. To become a member or learn more, visit spurs.com/fan club. Season presented by HEB.
Hunting, fishing, real country music. Vegans? Cable Smith reminding you to get your butt by the dial Saturday mornings from 7 to 8. It's the Lone Star Outdoor Show right here on Ticket 760.
Anti-lock brakes, automatic lane correction, rear view backup cameras. Of all the many features in vehicles designed to keep you safe, the most effective one is you. There are more big trucks and other vehicles on our roads these days, but you can safely share the road by keeping your eyes off your phone, slowing down, buckling up, and making sure you have plenty of room when passing. Be safe. Drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
For more information about contests on this station, go to ticket760.com/rules.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
I've been burned before. I was just repeating the same patterns. It turns out I had a type.
Workplaces everywhere are looking for love. And by love, we mean the easy way to order food at work. Easy Cater.
I thought ordering from great restaurants at work had to be complicated, but then I met Easy Cater. So many options, so flexible, and when I ordered for 50 gluten-free vegans without going over budget, I knew I'd found the platform I wanted to do life and lunch with.
Fall in love with Easy Cater. Start an order at easycater.com.
Things in Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress. But one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in San Antonio, or call 726-202-1300 or visit LanceStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Strong coffee, stronger takes. Back to Carl Schoening in the starting lineup.
This is the starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. The other voice you might hear, LG, in the starting lineup with me. Spurs knock off the Thunder in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, 111-103. And we all know where the Spurs go from here. They are going to the NBA Finals Wednesday to face off against the New York Knicks. But where do the Thunder go from here? So OKC has some financial decisions they need to make. They're already so deep in the luxury tax that there's going to be questions of what they do for contracts with extensions for Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Hartenstein as the, I guess, what is it? The second apron is what they're calling it these days, is something that will break up teams. We've already seen it happen with the Boston Celtics. Just because you won a championship doesn't mean that you can afford to keep them. So SGA is locked up as locked up gets. He is going to be under contract until a player option in 2030-2031 season, and that's a player option worth $75 million. So I would assume that, he's probably going to be okay, and obviously he's under contract until 2030. But Isaiah Hartenstein is entering the last year of his deal, so he could be eligible for an extension. Lou Dort has a team option of $18 million, and you almost wonder what the Thunder are going to do with that. But SGA was asked about both of those guys, and he said he was going to let Sam Presti, the greatest GM of all time, handle that. And Sam Presti obviously is a very well-respected GM, comes out of the Spurs system before he got the job in Seattle and then moved with the team to Oklahoma City. But yeah, Lou Dort, that's an interesting one to see if the Oklahoma City Thunder decline that option and almost figure out if they're just going to replace him by one of their draft picks. But just to kind of wrap up, they have Alex Caruso under the next 3 years. Chet Holmgren starts his extension, his max extension, that starts at $41.5 million and runs to $54.7 million through that 2030-2031 season with SGA. And it seems easy, like low-hanging fruit, to say, do the Thunder trade Chet Holmgren after the way he played against the Spurs? Yes and no. He's 24 years old. So you're talking about having a 24-year-old that is a unicorn. He really is that good to call him a unicorn. Locked up through his prime, essentially. That is another 5 years. So he'll be 29 by the time his contract is done. And it's a question of, is there an upgrade that you can even get? And the only realistic upgrade that I can think of out there is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if you can build a trade for Giannis around Chet Holmgren, and you can get Giannis to agree to an extension in Oklahoma City, then it makes a little bit more sense. However, does Giannis want to go to Oklahoma City if he doesn't have Chet Holmgren there to be his kind of second interior presence that can space the floor? I don't know if a Giannis trade for Chet Holmgren makes sense for the Thunder, or for Giannis for that matter. But if you're the Bucks and you could get somebody like a Chet Holmgren for Giannis, I don't necessarily know if straight up that works, because I don't think the salaries work that well. But if you can more or less figure out a way to make that a reality for Milwaukee, they would probably love to have Chet as a building block. He would have to be their second best player, but he's already proven that he can be the second or third best player on a championship team. But then the burden of finding a MVP caliber player to put next to Chet in Milwaukee is an interesting one that I don't know if they would be willing to take on. But certainly to have a piece like that locked up through 2031 would be a win for anybody that maybe acquires Chet Holmgren. But I think SGA and Chet probably stay together, and that's where you have to wonder, where do the Thunder maybe try to improve other places? Jalen Williams, that is Jay Will, he has another couple years left on his contract. The other Jay Williams, J Dub, his extension kicks in. Seems like he has pretty much the exact same extension as Chet Holmgren. And you almost feel like if you're the Thunder, with the way J Dub could not play in the the series against the Spurs, but he had 26 points in the one game that he did play after not playing a game from April 22nd until the first game of the series, which I guess was roughly about a month that he was out with the hamstring injury. And then game 2, he re-aggravates that hamstring. He tries to come in game 6 and just looks terrible and didn't really go through any revamp process. It was just like, hey, I want to give it a go in game 6. And it was good that they found out when they were playing with house money how J-Dub was not going to be able to contribute on his injury, because he really was not looking like anywhere near himself. But I'm going to say something that might not make Spurs fans all that happy, but Jalen Williams is a potential difference maker in this series to where Oklahoma City wins the series. And that's just a what-if game that even when he was asked about it, he says he doesn't want to get into hypotheticals, but it's enough of a what-if that Oklahoma City might feel content enough with this roster should they be greenlit to spend the money in the luxury tax to run it back with those three players, SGA, Chet, and J-Dub. And the one thing that I thought was pretty interesting is, again, Sam Presti's really good at his job. OKC owns the 12th overall pick and the 17th overall pick in this year's NBA draft. So they could add a lottery talent and a fringe lottery talent that just slips out of the lottery. But the caveat to that is that'll only add $10 million to their roster salary, but the way the luxury tax works and how deep the Thunder are in it, their tax bill just for signing those two players will add $80 million to their luxury tax bill. So there's been some questions of, do those picks get packaged in a trade for Giannis? Do they maybe move up to where they try and throw in some of their future picks to get a top 5 pick in this draft? And then obviously that'll lead to a potential franchise player. There's a lot of questions of what OKC does with their just salary cap issues. And I know that this is a sports talk show and you want to hear more about the X's and O's and, who scored and who had a good game, etc. But in the NBA, the salary cap really is a determining factor of how these rosters are put together and how long they stay together, because now there are some very strict rules essentially to keep somebody like Steve Ballmer from making the Clippers just a ridiculous. For those of you that don't know, Steve Ballmer makes I think something along the lines of $30 million a month just off of his dividends of Microsoft stocks. So he is by far the richest owner in the league, and I think he has money that essentially the league was just like, we need to make this fair for everybody else. So they have these rules. And if you're in the second apron for 3 out of 5 years, then your first round pick jumps to the end of the first round. So you essentially lose your first round pick. There's penalties beyond just having to pay a lot of money. And they also eliminate abilities to do other ways to expand your roster. And you get hard capped, et cetera, et cetera. I'm getting wrapped up. LG's telling me that is enough, as it is enough salary cap talk. But yeah, where do the Thunder go from here? We will be interested to see what they do. You might have heard the promo. I will be out at the Rocket La Cantera with Dylan Emery for an NBA draft party. That'll be a fun one. We're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I do love me some draft, and I will definitely talk about the draft here on the show. But we'll shift gears and talk a little bit of football. Coming up next, where does A.J. Brown go? The Eagles, I hope they keep him. That'll be fun. The Eagles will have just a ridiculous receiver core if they go into the season with their receiver core, but the money has always been on the Eagles maybe trading A.J. Brown. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about that here on the starting lineup when we come back.
Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tidy little financial consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Hebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Hebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Hebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Hebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey guys, it's us, the Jonas Brothers. I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Nick. And guess what? We created our own podcast.
And it's called Hey Jonas.
Listen to Hey Jonas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Here in Texas, we know that trust is earned and reputation matters. Since 1993, Thomas J. Henry dedicated himself to building a firm that injured clients can trust and that Texans can respect. A firm where no defendant is too big and no case is too small. Backed by a track record of success and a commitment to our clients, Thomas J. Henry remains the name you can depend on if you have been injured. Trust the firm that stands for you. Trust Thomas J. Henry. San Antonio, Texas.
This July 4th, come celebrate at America's Block Party, hosted by America 250. America's Block Party is a can't-miss 4th of July concert happening at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Experience music performances from major artists, patriotic tributes, and the kickoff to Giving Forth, helping to make July 4th the largest day of giving in American history. It's more than just fireworks. Learn more about this landmark celebration at america250.org.
It's the Marketer's Report. In this edition, Monica Tam, head of brand media for DoorDash, talks about audio's connection to daily rituals.
Audio plays a really important role. It's actually an opportunity for DoorDash to be part of the consumer's day beginning to end. As an example, there's daily rituals that you do, commuting to and from home, dropping off kids, in between walking the dog, going to the gym, doing chores just at home, got a podcast or diving to your favorite music. In all of those moments, which are usually a screen-free environment, you've got actually a very attentive consumer and you have an opportunity to actually influence a decision that they might be doing in the next moment.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to all the audiences, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow, and all guaranteed human. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Hey guys, this is Jamie from Black Swan Yoga San Antonio, and we would like to invite you to join our Summer 75 Challenge. It's running from June 1st to August 31st. Commit to taking 75 classes this summer, and you'll be entered to win yoga for life. This is more than a challenge. It's all about building community. If you're new to the studio, jump in on our summer sale starting May 22nd. The first month is half off of our OG rate, making the first month $44. You can't beat that. We can't wait to flow with you and hope you crush it on your challenge.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. I don't know if you've noticed, but we got a lot of food in this country. A lot of peaches, a lot of corn, a lot of apples, a lot of everything. We've got so much food that we can't even eat it all. So if we got all this extra food, how are 17 million kids in America struggling with hunger? I just don't get it. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to the hungry kids who need it. They can get you food even if you live in Idaho or Alaska or somewhere crazy like that. This isn't complicated. We got extra food and we've got hungry kids. Feeding America's done the math. Now it's your turn. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. I know you got internet on your phone, so what are you waiting for? We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Your ticket for the best Spurs talk. Back to the starting lineup.
That's right, we do talk Spurs on the starting lineup here on Ticket 760. We're in San Antonio, so we got to talk Spurs. But one of the things that has been a major story all season, or all off-season long in the NFL, and for a multitude of reasons that we're probably not going to have time to get into, is will A.J. Brown be traded? And it seems like if he is, it's going to be to the New England Patriots. Today's an important day for the NFL, as June 1st is a last potential date for money to be stretched. So if the Eagles are able to make a trade before the 4 p.m. Eastern trade deadline today, where they move A.J. Brown, it'll keep dead money and bonuses from accelerating onto the 2026 cap and save the Eagles $7 million this season. If he's traded after the 4 p.m. trade deadline today, then Brown will account for around $16 million in dead space this season and $27 million next year. So the question is, are the Eagles going to trade A.J. Brown, their number one receiver, and will it be to the New England Patriots? And I kind of don't think so. There's a lot of signs that point to yes here, but the Eagles, they have the best receiving core in football. They are just somebody who I think can get over whatever weird drama there is with A.J. Brown. But on top of this weird drama, you have this whole Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the Patriots, for those of you that don't know, Diana Russini scandal. And Russini is a NFL insider that's been leaking that A.J. Brown is unhappy in Philadelphia and he would like a trade to reunite with Vrabel, who coached him in Tennessee, where he was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles from. So there's a lot of understandable connections there and why Vrabel would want somebody like A.J. Brown for his quarterback Drake May and try and make their offense a bit more explosive. And it just feels to me there's a lot of smoke where there might not necessarily be fire. That being said, Adam Schefter, the ESPN insider, who is a bit more reputable than Diana Russini, is also saying that there is a fire where there is smoke there and that the Eagles and the Patriots could have a deal done. But that was a little while ago. Why these trades might have to come down to the deadline, don't ask me. It feels like one of these things where voluntary OTAs, it'd be nice to have these done, these voluntary OTAs that a lot of teams have put together. So I don't know if there's a real expectation of A.J. Brown being traded because you have that absolute curveball of the scandal with Vrabel and Diana Russini that might make all of that smoke just wishful thinking from Vrabel. However, I do think that A.J. Brown, it could be a great piece to whether he stays in Philadelphia or goes to New England. If anything happens in that I see coming down the wire here in the next hour while we're on the air, I will certainly relay that information to you. But I would expect anything to happen a little bit after everybody else finishes their morning coffee here in a June 1st. Hey, I didn't even address here in the first hour that it's June 1st. Happy June, everybody. First of the month. Got to make sure that rent's paid and all the good stuff that comes with it. All right. We move into more Spurs talk. We talk Spurs. Knicks got some sound to listen to from the Spurs' victorious Game 7 victory against the Thunder. And we'll talk more about the matchup between Spurs and Knicks in hour number 2 here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760. See you at the top of the hour.
Got a DWI? Don't wait. What you do next matters. Not all classes are accepted by Texas courts. Before you pay, make sure it's state approved and live. Alamo Center has helped Texans for over 30 years complete their court-ordered DWI and drug education classes live and instructor-led. No pre-recorded videos. Real instructors, real support. Classes fill up fast. Secure your spot today. Speak to a live person now. Call 210-824-5537 or visit alamocenter.org. Alamo Center. The road back starts here.
Hi there, I'm John O'Hurley. You know our pets are beloved family members. But sadly, though, there are so many dogs that get euthanized every day due to the lack of funding. To give them a chance at adoption, I invite you to support Puppy Food Bank. Thanks to generous donors like you, all of the food sent to pet shelters from Puppy Food Bank never comes with a bill. So please go to puppyfoodbank.org and make a generous, caring $15 donation every month. Your donation will absolutely save pets.
There's another one and another one.
Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go Vassell the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go.
iHeart is America's #1 podcast network. Open the free iHeart app and explore podcasts like this.
So, Matt, you write a newsletter. It's called Money Stuff.
People frequently say to me, I enjoy your newsletter, but I'd like to hear you say it into my ear. And I say, that would take a long time. But what we could do instead is I could chat about my newsletter with my good friend Katie.
When it comes to Money Stuff, you write about a range of topics. What range of topics might we expect in the podcast version?
A smaller range.
Right. We only have 30 minutes.
And in that time, we will talk about weird stories from the world of finance that somehow illuminate or say something interesting about how finance works. Like money stuff.
All the money stuff.
All the stuff.
Yeah. We will be talking about ETFs, the world of investing. That's what I like to talk about. We'll probably talk about horses and dressage a fair amount, I would say.
Horses and dressage will come up more here than they do in the Money Stuff newsletter. And, we'll talk to people, maybe we'll have some guests on, and we'll answer some reader questions if you have any. I'm Matt Levine, the Money Stuff columnist at Bloomberg Opinion.
And I'm Katie Greifeld. I'm a reporter and an anchor with Bloomberg News.
Listen on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and listen now.
This is Ticket 760, KTKR San Antonio, your home for sports. Guaranteed human. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Carl Schoening.
Starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. In the starting lineup with me is LG. The Spurs are in the NBA Finals. Game 1 scheduled for Wednesday. It'll be a fun one here in San Antonio. And we're both going to be in the Frost Bank Center, LG. You are already scheduled to work. I'll be on the radio broadcast. I think I'm not allowed to say, but we will have some fun on the radio broadcast. That is as much of a teaser that I'm allowed to give you, but you guys will certainly want to listen to myself, Dan Weiss, and the radio feed. And I don't even think I've told you, LG, what this tease is, so you might have to find out with everybody else on the show. More of a reason to keep it tuned in to Ticket 760 until you listen to us on WOAI. I haven't told you, have I, LG? Surprise?
No.
You don't know the surprise? Then
no one told me.
No, that's fine. I will tell you the surprise off air because I have not been given the clearance to. I haven't asked for permission, but I don't want to ask for forgiveness before permission. But it is certainly something for the Spurs fans to keep a even closer ear on what we do on the radio broadcast for the NBA Finals. That is all I'll say about that. However, I have this slight inferiority complex where I appreciate anybody that actually wants to hear my thoughts on what happened in Game 7 of the NBA Western Conference Finals where the Spurs knocked off the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-103. However, I am of the belief that you would rather hear from the big fella, Victor Wembanyama. And if I'm mistaken in that, be sure to follow me on social media because if you're not already, then I would like that follow. But I want to hear what Wemby had to say in his post game. Very emotional after winning Game 7, and he had calmed down just a little bit, but still gave some great post game sound. Here's what Victor Wembanyama had to say after the Spurs knocked off the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals.
Victor, you're going to the NBA Finals. We, saw your reaction after the final horn. Could you just sort of put into words what you're feeling right now?
Winning the Larry O'Brien, it's a childhood dream. And having a real shot at it, having a chance, tangible chance at winning it, at realizing a dream, it's a chance. It's a lifetime chance, you never know when it's going to happen again. But it's, the day we win it, speaking for myself, it's going to be an amazing day of, realization of a dream, It's hard to put into words. It's almost like the meaning of my life,
Vic, along those lines, after the gold medal game in Paris, you had said you worried for your opponents in a couple years. A couple years later, is this kind of what you had in mind when you said that?
Kind of, but I don't worry really for them. I'm not worried. I'm worried about us winning. That's what I'm thinking about.
A lot of great moments from your supporting cast tonight, but I'm thinking of Luke's block on Hartenstein with about 6 minutes. How huge was that?
That was big. That was big. There's so many big-time plays, so many guys stepping up. Oh, my God. It's an unreal chance, you know. My life is amazing, and being with these guys, living these things with these guys that I love so much, it's amazing. I want to have this feeling plenty more times in my life.
It seemed like Julian had an answer every time, the really timely threes. What have you seen from him just all year in that regard?
Julian's amazing. He deserves everything that he gets. And he's the type of guy, you know, that makes you want to die for him on the court because he gives so much effort. And he's got such an amazing story. You know, he got cut in the NBA a few years back. He's had tough moments, and he keeps pushing, and now he's taking his team to the NBA Finals.
Victor, sur ta gauche, est-ce que tu penses à savourer la victoire de ce soir ou tu penses déjà aux Knicks?
Impossible de ne pas savourer. Trop dur. J'ai pas encore construit mon réservoir à émotions, il n'est pas encore assez grand, c'est impossible de ne pas savourer, ça déborde. Mais bon, faudra se reconcentrer très bientôt, mais pour l'instant, c'est un plaisir incroyable.
Yeah, Victor, you talked about speaking for yourself about the day that you might win a finals trophy. You know, when it comes to your personal emotions, you guys have talked a lot about just being a team, liking each other, like being around each other. You know, when you look and feel the things you're feeling tonight, and then you look around and see your teammates experiencing that with you, you know, what has that been like? What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited about feeling what I felt when that buzzer went off again and again and again, and even more. It's you work all these hours we put in. It's for these type of emotions. Like I want that. I want to win so bad. It's like my life depends on it.
I don't know if you remember back in October we asked you what you thought a successful season would be, and you said making the playoffs, not play in but playoffs. You had to finish at least sixth. At what point during this season did that shift? And did you realize you were underselling yourselves?
I mean, you reevaluate everything all throughout the season. And really, when you step into a game in the regular season, you don't even look at the big picture of the season. You look at what you need to do tonight, what you need to do in the first half, on the first possession. And when you lay a brick like this every time you got a chance, and you lay it perfectly fine, at the end of the day, you get a big castle, a beautiful house, and this is just, it's just like the entry hall of our castle right now, you know, like.
Vic, can you elaborate? I have two things for you. The first one, can you elaborate on Luke's block, what your view of the play was, and did you happen to notice the assaults that happened from your teammates when he went back to the bench and their reaction to him when he came out of the game?
I didn't see. I was so stoked. I was so proud of him, so happy. That's the definition of a winning play. Is whoever wanted it more.
And to follow you play this game for yourself, for your family, for your teammates, what this moment means for them and everybody in that room right now. But what do you think this means for Pop, and how important is it for you to have these moments for him?
I can't answer that question. I don't know what it means for him. That's a guy who's got more experience as a coach than almost anybody and has been through so many things in his career and so many things right now as El Jefe. He goes through some things we can't even imagine. So I need to call him. I need to see him. I need to talk to him. Because there's no way I can understand right now, how he feels. I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna do an interview about it, or if we can get what. Yeah, I figured knowing him, he's not going to. So, when I talk to him, it's gonna be only stored in my head, except if I record it in secret. But I need to talk to him so quick. Hey, DP. Hey, Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan Harper comes in at the end of Victor Wembanyama's media availability. Wemby, after winning Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, obviously a little bit more emotionally under control than the rage of emotions that he saw right after winning Game 7. And, you got to love that, and it really sparked a lot of joy across the city, not just for Wemby and his teammates, but for everybody that was a Spurs fan. It was a very fun night on Saturday. Maybe a little stressful, but, I thought that the Spurs did a great job of, if it was going to be a close game, keeping it as not stressful as possible. There were no lead changes late in the game. In fact, it didn't even register as a clutch time game, which is 5 points or less under 5 minutes in regulation. Victor Wembanyama with just a stellar performance, but not necessarily the MVP caliber performance that you thought you might get from him. 22 points was great. I thought it was De'Aaron Fox's best game of the series, and it was very much the team victory. Julian Champagnie came up clutch. Dylan Harper was great. And you look at everybody, they all contributed if they played a couple minutes to the majority of the game, like Wemby for 42 minutes. So I thought that was all great. I appreciate Wemby being candid in the moment, but he's not going to record his conversation with Greg Popovich and leak it. I think that, it's all family stuff at that point, and that doesn't get out to the media. However, it's not going to keep people from asking, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of conversations about Greg Popovich and how El Jefe is still involved as we hit the finals media day, and the media members from across the globe are going to flood San Antonio and get their questions in to ask the Spurs how they're going to knock off the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. First finals appearance for both teams, which I think is great. The age of parity is very much a thing in the NBA after all those years of LeBron making, 8 straight finals, something along those lines. It was the Warriors and the Cavs for so many years in a row. Very happy that we've hit this age of parity to a certain extent, and now I almost wonder if the Spurs are going to rattle off several trips in a row, but we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves. Spurs still have to take on the New York Knicks, and they're still going to have to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference, and you never know who else might show up. I think that the Dallas Mavericks have a lot of work to do, but they do have a young player in Cooper Flagg that will certainly help them get to 50-win seasons in the not-too-distant future. But when it comes down to the immediate future, the Spurs will host the New York Knicks 7:30 on Wednesday night for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And Victor Wembanyama, I wonder what the Knicks are going to do to try and slow him down. They have Karl Anthony Towns, they have OG Anunoby, they have Josh Hart. Those are going to be 3 players I expect to rotate on the Wemby. And that is where the conversation starts when we come back. And we'll also hear from a couple other Spurs and their Game 7 post-game thoughts, as the Knicks and the Spurs are going to be in an NBA Finals matchup to remember. Feels so full circle with Wemby playing the Knicks in Game 1 of his first Finals. We'll talk about that and more here on the Starting Lineup when we come back on Ticket 760. Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tiny Little Financial Consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Huebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in-store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Huebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Huebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Huebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Did you know that 1 in 4 men over 40 have low testosterone, low energy, low sex drive, low motivation, and barely recognize themselves? Sound familiar? 100% of us can get it all back and feel great at Synergenics, just like I did a few years ago. The experts at Hormone Health in San Antonio, that is Synergenics. They tailor their TRT plans to every man to get your levels back to where they need to be so we can all feel great, look great, and live our best lives. Go to fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com to book your free testosterone tests today.
These days, it's getting harder and harder to trust what you're seeing. Who made it? Is it real? But with iHeart, everything you hear is guaranteed human. That's why 78% of listeners trust their favorite radio host's product recommendations. And if you own or manage a business here or need to drive sales, that trust goes a long way in creating your future customers. Make iHeartMedia a part of your 2026 plan today. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. Again, that's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Thomas J. Henry Law fights even when the insurance company says your claim is worth nothing. Thomas J. Henry doesn't back down. That's how we put over $1 billion in our clients' pockets in just the last 4 years. Visit thomasjhenrylaw.com. Principal Office, San Antonio.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Yacht Rock Radio on iHeartRadio drops anchor and goes commercial-free every weekend. Weekends were made for smooth sailing. Yacht Rock Radio's got the soundtrack. Just sit back, put your feet up, and enjoy. The smoothest soft rock from the 70s and 80s.
You're the biggest part of me.
Open the free iHeart app, search Yacht Rock, and set sail.
iHeartRadio.
Records, milestones, firsts, lasts, and everything in between. What happened today in sports history on iHeartRadio?
You want sports? We got sports. What's happening, fellow sports fans? It's Andy West. Let's look back on this day in sports, June 1st. We'll start today way back in 1925, where future New York Yankees Hall of Famer Lou Gehrig pinch hits and also gets substituted into the game in a 5-3 loss to Washington. It's the first of a record 2,130 consecutive games he'd play, a record that stood for 56 years until Cal Ripken Jr. passed him in 1995. Today in 1975, Nolan Ryan, pitching for the California Angels, recorded his 4th no-hitter, striking out 9. Ryan tied Sandy Koufax's record by beating the Baltimore Orioles 1-0. It was also Ryan's 100th Major League victory. He would go on to pitch 3 more no-hitters in his career, the most in baseball history. And today in 1988, John Madden Football, the first incarnation of the Madden NFL video game series, is released for the Commodore 64 and Apple II. Madden, a Hall of Famer who won a Super Bowl coaching the Oakland Raiders, served as a consultant for the game's design. The series became a smash hit and made Electronic Arts, or EA Games, a household publisher. Madden was already a well-known announcer, but the longevity of the game series helped make Madden one of the most famous sports broadcasters of all time, and the game is still the premier football video game on the market today.
Now you know. Today in sports history on iHeartRadio.
He bleeds silver and black. Back to Carl Schoening in the starting lineup.
Starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Carl Schoening. You can reach out to me on Instagram or X at OnAirCarl. That is Carl with a K, On Air, Karl. You can also get in touch with our producer, LG. He is at DJLG210. LG, other ways people can get involved in the show and reach out to us.
Absolutely. You can follow us on social media at Starting Lineup Live on Instagram and Facebook. On Twitter, we are at TSL760, and we are also streaming live on YouTube at Starting Lineup Live. Hanover Fist in here. He says he'll be in attendance at game number 2 at the Frost Bank Center. And I do know that the Fiesta t-shirt colors are coming back for game 1.
Nice.
So
awesome.
If you're at game 1, I don't know what's happening at game 2 yet, but game 1, you will be able to get one of the Fiesta t-shirts if you are in attendance.
7:30 on Wednesday night, game 1 tips off of the NBA Finals at the Frost Bank Center. LG and I will be there working. I'll be on the radio broadcast. Once again, we have a surprise for you, so be sure to tune into WOAI. I don't know when we'll be able to announce that. I might have to ask for permission to break that news on the show. That's what we call tease in the industry. I don't know if it's actually finalized or not. So we'll have to talk about that. However, I thought this one was interesting, LG. Do you believe history repeats itself?
Yes.
I don't know if you saw this, and it's gone viral, and I suppose it makes sense. Tim Duncan was 22 and won a championship with the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama is 22 and is 4 games away from winning a championship with the Spurs. 4 wins away, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Duncan's 1999 championship run included a series against the Blazers, a series against the Timberwolves, a series against a rival big man, and the finals against the Knicks in 1999. And Victor Wembanyama's first playoff run here includes a series against the Blazers with Denny Avdia, a series against the Timberwolves, and a series against a rival big man in Chet Holmgren, and now a series against the New York Knicks. Spurs won that series in 5. San Antonio, I sort of feel like, can win this series in 5 as well, and that would be great if it happened again, because that would mean the Spurs win it in the Frost Bank Center in San Antonio, and that would be an ideal place to win it. And if there's a city where you win a championship after being there for a business trip, New York would probably be among them. But I guess just the fun full circle moment there, it seems like it could be a almost like the script, you know how that is with those are they called telenovas? You know what I'm talking about? How telenovelas. How it's just the same story every 5 years. They just keep recycling it. If I'm not mistaken, that's how those work. Like the soap operas. If you've seen them for 20 years, you've seen the same story 10 times. So I wonder if that's how this story writes itself out. The Spurs win in 5. I certainly would love that. If the Spurs can win games 1 and 2, and then we'll give the Knicks game 3, and the Spurs win game 4 and close it out in game 5, that would be a lot of fun. I imagine the NBA obviously would love a 7-game series, which would also be a victorious Spurs home game if they win it in San Antonio in game 7. But one thing we'll have to keep an eye on, LG, I don't have this prepared right now. Ticket prices are going to be a conversation here in the finals. I wonder if it'll be cheaper to fly to San Antonio and watch the game.
It is.
In the Frost Bank Center.
Yeah, it is.
By a mile, right? Isn't it $50,000 for courtside seats? I imagine it's probably more now in New York City. We'll have to actually do a little bit of research and see how much it costs to get into MSG and into San Antonio as well. I had somebody who told me that he was able to snag a couple tickets to games 5 and 7, and they were around $1,500 and $1,800 a piece in the upper deck.
Yep, that's what I've been seeing too. And Knicks fans are going to travel.
They will. Yeah. Again, because it's cheaper to just go to San Antonio and catch the finals than it is to watch it in Madison Square Garden.
I expect to see a lot of celebrities sitting front row as well.
Yeah.
In the Frostbank Center.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time for me to use that media credential. Maybe we figure out how to get some of those people on the show. That'd be interesting to see if Ben Stiller would come on. Maybe. You have any questions for Ben Stiller?
Nah, not really.
Nah. Okay, well, we'll have to find. Maybe Tracy Morgan would be a lot of fun. I actually went to New York. I think it was just. I've gone to New York with the Spurs a couple times, and I've run into Tracy Morgan once. I can't remember. I think I've gone to New York 3 or 4 times with the Spurs, and one of the 2 most recent times I bumped into Tracy Morgan in the hotel lobby.
Oh, cool.
So,
well, hopefully he doesn't throw up on the court.
What? Why did that happen?
Yeah, he threw up on the Knicks court.
When was this?
This season.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe it might have been last season, but it was recent.
No, poor that's obviously a shame. But I like him; he's funny to me. Anyhow, I do want to hear from Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper is somebody who hit perhaps the biggest shot that a rookie has hit in recent NBA history. I can't think of a rookie hitting a bigger shot than when he had a step back 3 to give the Spurs the 107-101 lead. I guess it was pushed a little bit. It might have been 107-99 lead. I think that's the actual score. But Dylan Harper hit a dagger of a shot to give the Spurs essentially a secured win in the Western Conference Finals, and he has been playing just beyond his years. He is such a special talent. I want to hear what he had to say post-game and share it with you guys here on the starting lineup. This is Dylan Harper and his post-game thoughts after Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals.
Game 1, obviously you had a big game, historic game, and he had a bunch of big threes tonight when you guys needed it most. I mean, it seemed like I said, at every turn you answered the call for this team. Mm-hmm. What is it like being in these moments, especially, like I said, in Game 1 and Game 7, and to be able to help advance this team back to the NBA Finals for the first time in 12 years? I mean, how does it feel to be a part of this team?
I mean, it's a blessing. I think just answering the call, that's kind of what I've kind of always done, and just put myself in that position and just double down on myself every time. I mean, my teammates, coaching staff, everyone does a great job of just empowering me to go out there and make plays and be myself. So, when the time comes, I think for me, I just kind of go out there and I just trust my instincts.
Dylan, congratulations on advancing to the NBA Finals. When you picture the NBA Finals, what do you see?
Picturing in my head, I mean, that's where legends are made. That's where big-time players kind of show when the lights get bright, because that's the brightest lights you could ever play in. So I think just being in the NBA Finals is just unreal in my head, but now it's a reality, and now we just got to go ahead and dominate these next few weeks.
Dylan, I know that no one reaches this point without making sacrifices. When you think about the younger you that made the sacrifices to get here, what would you tell your younger self?
Be confident and just stay in the moment. That was the biggest thing, just being where my feet are. Obviously, life is a bunch of ups and downs, and I've been through a lot of ups and downs this season. So, I mean, I've kind of just stayed in the gym and just keep grinding. That's been the biggest thing for me, staying sharp. And when my number is called, is make sure I'm the most prepared out there.
Dylan, something you said at Media Day was that playoffs were all you saw when you looked at the roster, the way it was constructed.
Mm-hmm.
You made the playoffs, now you're making the finals. You talk about as a player on the court, shooting with confidence, but for a team, to have a confidence like that, to know, hey, we're going to the playoffs or we're going to the finals, how imperative is that to success?
Well, when I first said that comment, I didn't meet anyone on the team yet, so I was going just straight off of just who I am and just the confidence I have in myself, but I think our confidence is through the roof. I think we all trust in each other, and that's the biggest thing if you want to kind of get over humps like we did, and confidence and just being ourselves. And for me, coming in, I knew what I was kind of walking into with the roster, and I kind of seen the pieces, and just what we could do is just endless. So we're just proud of my guys, and I think that this is just the beginning of something really special.
Hi Dylan, congrats for entering the finals. And this year, both you and Jordan Clarkson have entered the finals, so that means it's the first year to have a Philippine player to win an NBA title.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning to go to represent the Philippines in the future games? international games?
I mean, I think my focus is just on these next games, this next series. But obviously, it's a blessing to represent the Philippines and where I'm from. So I mean, I think me and Jordan Clarkson do a great job of doing that. But I mean, my biggest thing is just focusing on what's in front of me.
Dylan, Vic was just in here and pretty emotional about what this means and how much he wanted to win. I'm wondering, when you've seen him up close these last 2 weeks, this 7-game series, what have you seen and learned from him?
How dedicated he is. That was the biggest thing I kind of learned from him, just how he went about everything. He takes the wins just like how he takes the losses. That's the type of guy he is. He's just someone who goes out, and no matter what the circumstances is, he's always going to work his tail off. So, I mean, kind of what we see on the court is what I see every day times 10. And just the dedication and effort he puts into his body, his mind, and the game is just unreal.
Dylan, we've seen Vic being vocal as a leader.
As Dylan Harper in his post-game thoughts after winning Game 7. And, he is the weirdest blessing in disguise of this Spurs team, because you remember last year it seemed like the Spurs were poised to make a push into the playoffs, and it was after the Spurs had just gotten De'Aaron Fox that they find out that the news that Victor's out for the season with the deep vein thrombosis, and essentially that led to De'Aaron Fox getting the surgery on his shooting hand that he was putting off. I think it was his pinky that needed the surgery, and he was going to, try and finish out the season. But with Vic out, they figured you might as well get that surgery taken care of so you're 100% ready to go for next season. The Spurs proceed to get into the NBA lottery. They become the second overall pick out of that NBA lottery after Cooper Flagg is given to the Dallas Mavericks for the first overall pick. The Spurs, seemingly the reports were the Spurs were interested in Dylan Harper on a level of they were probably going to look to try and trade up to get him conceivably. And he sort of falls into their lap at the second overall pick. And he is the X factor that it's unreal. I will be hard pressed to find and go back and look and see if there is a rookie that has contributed to a finals run more than what Dylan Harper has done in recent memory. In the last 25 years, I just am drawing a blank of a rookie.
I can think of one.
Go ahead. Yes. Yeah, the last lefty to come off the bench for the Spurs. Only slight difference is that while Manu was a rookie, I think he was like 24. He had been professional for quite a while there, and the Spurs drafted Manu in 1999 after they won their first championship, and he doesn't come for a few years later. This is a 19-year-old rookie that is now 20 years old, making big-time plays, playing in the fourth quarter of the NBA Finals. But you're right. Dylan Harper said, and I'm sure we played it because we love hearing from Dylan Harper. He says that he talks to Manu Ginobili daily. There's a lot of similarities between the two, and he is a just phenomenal player that is perhaps the reason why the Spurs can win an NBA championship and why they have made this run to the NBA Finals. If it weren't for Dylan Harper, then the Spurs are probably not anywhere near this the NBA Finals that they find themselves in. So Harper, somebody who had a little bit of trouble with his three-point shot early in the season. I watch him warm up all the time just out of curiosity before the games. He works so hard on his three-point shot, all the ways to create it. It's inspiring, really, that he has now become a three-level scorer before the end of his rookie year. However, he was asked, I think it was in that interview, and I don't think we played it, if he still feels like he's a rookie, and he kind of said, no, it feels like, been here for a while now. So let me do the math on this, LG. We played 5 preseason games, 82 regular season games, and then 7 plus 5 plus 6. What are we looking at there? 19? Is that 18 playoff games? So the Spurs have played about 100 games. And if you're somebody who didn't make the NCAA tournament like Harper, you probably only played like 35 college games. and you probably maybe played like 35 high school games. He's probably played more basketball games since he was drafted, if you also count the couple of summer league games that he played, than he has in the previous 4 years. So, I imagine it's very easy for him to have that rookie feeling eliminated, and he's out there playing like a vet, and he is a big reason why the Spurs are going to potentially win a championship. He is a big reason why the Spurs are 4 wins away from winning that coveted NBA championship, and it certainly is a blessing that the Spurs were able to draft him second overall in this previous draft. He will be a star for a long time in this league, and it's just scary to think about how Victor Wembanyama and Dylan Harper are going to be on the same roster for maybe a decade plus. Don't want to get too far into the future. Still got 4 games to win here, but the Spurs are young, they are scary, and they are going to take on the New York Knicks Wednesday night in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. We'll talk about that. We'll hear from De'Aaron Fox as well as we celebrate the Spurs winning the NBA championship here on the Starting Lineup on Ticket 760.
This is San Antonio FC Insider, brought to you by Community First Health Plans.
Providing the benefits and support to get stronger and follow every dream. Community First Health Plans, strength and wellness.
San Antonio FC had an absolute barn burner in last week's midweek game against Sporting Jacks out of Jacksonville, Florida. Jacks started out strong with 3 goals in the first half. SAFC turned up the heat in the second, scoring 3 goals in 9 minutes, but ended the game with 4 total. 2 goals and an assist came from Christian Sordo, who was, of course, named man of the match, and other goals came from Dimitri Yerofeev and Hakeem O'Connor-Ward. Sporting Jacks equalized in the 89th minute, making it a total of 8 goals. Talk about stress. Well, that's today's SAFC Insider. I'm Katie Goodman.
At Community First Health Plans, we help you build strength for tomorrow by covering reliable medical equipment to stay strong and independent, and providing access to expert care you can trust and rely on, opening doors to your future. Our health plans give you the coverage, benefits, and support you need to get stronger and pursue every dream. Community First Health Plans, strength and wellness.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The Starting Lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included, content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the Starting Lineup on Ticket 760.
I'm Dr. Jason Garrett with Arasti. For nearly 20 years, I've helped patients recover from pain and injuries quickly, and that includes some of the best in the game, like Tony Parker and many professional and Olympic athletes. At Arasti, we find the root cause of your pain and fix it fast. Most patients resolve their pain in just 3 to 4 visits. No long treatment plans, no gimmicks, just results. So whether you're a pro athlete or just want to get back to what you love, visit Arasti.com and schedule now. That's AIRROSTI.com. We fix pain fast.
Does your car or truck start smoothly? Do you have any hesitation problems when you hit the gas? A BG Platinum 44K fuel system cleaner will take care of that. It'll clean the entire fuel system. It'll restore your engine's performance and reduce exhaust emissions. You'll have no power loss when you go up that hill. A BG Platinum 44K fuel system cleaner is rated #1 among automotive professionals. Be good to your car. Add BG Platinum 44K to your tank after every oil change. To find a BG professional, visit bgfindashop.com today.
I've been burned before. I was just repeating the same patterns. It turns out I had a type.
Workplaces everywhere are looking for love. And by love, we mean the easy way to order food at work. Easy Cater.
I thought ordering from great restaurants at work had to be complicated, but then I met Easy Cater. So many options, so flexible, and when I ordered for 50 gluten-free vegans without going over budget, I knew I'd found the platform I wanted to do life and lunch with.
Fall in love with Easy Cater. Start an order at easycater.com.
With the new My Lowe's Pro Rewards American Express card, earn 3 points per dollar spent on Lowe's qualifying purchases for the first 6 months after card account opening. Plus, save 5% every day on eligible purchases at Lowe's and earn points on eligible purchases everywhere else Amex is accepted. Card members get more at Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. 5% can't be combined with any other offer. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Points subject to loyalty terms at Lowe's.com/terms and credit reward terms at Synchrony.com/MLPRA-terms. Visit Lowe's.com/business credit.
Your morning drive, your morning takes. Back to the starting lineup.
This is the starting lineup on Ticket 760, Hour 2 coming to a close. I'm your host, Carl Schoening, and one of the more interesting storylines in this series between the Spurs and the Knicks is De'Aaron Fox is somebody that I think the Spurs realized was a championship piece. They were able to trade for him and get him on a good deal without giving up too much. And, you know, we talk about it on this show, LG. You've mentioned it a few times. He's sort of the scapegoat that Spurs fans like to point at. And I've always said that even when it looks like he's had a bad game, De'Aaron Fox still has good games in other ways. He contributes to winning in so many factors. And he comes out in 35 minutes against the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 7 with 15 points, 50% shooting from the field. He hit big threes, 3 of 7 from 3, 5 assists, and 3 steals for Swipa. And you know, the Spurs don't win that game without De'Aaron Fox. They didn't have him for the first 2 games of this series with an ankle sprain that he's been proceeding to play on, and he's just been huge, and he contributes on both sides of the floor. And I want to hear what he had to say, because I think he's one of these guys that a lot is given to, so much is expected, and he obviously spoke after the game to the media after the Spurs won the Western Conference Finals, and I don't want to leave him out when talking about post-game press conferences and playing them here on the show.
What are the emotions? You know, how are you feeling obviously getting to this point in your career?
It feels great, especially doing with this group of guys with just how young and how talented they are to be able to be this resilient, especially against, you know, some teams that have been here, you know, playing Minnesota. They've been in the conference finals the last 2 years, and then obviously OKC been to the conference finals the last 2 years, been the number 1 seed the last 3 years, just won a championship. Being able to do it against those types of teams, I think, prepare you for whatever you're going to see at the end, and it's definitely great.
De'Aaron, just for you, and when you think of your career and sort of the journey you've been on from Sacramento before obviously coming over here, and what sort of comes to mind now when you wear the hat and you think about playing in the NBA Finals?
I mean, just grateful. I'm grateful to be in this position. I was grateful to be there and obviously continue to learn, continue to grow my game, continue to get better. And then coming here my first full year, being able to be in the finals, I don't know if I thought that, but I knew that we were going to have a damn good team. And we continued to get better just throughout the course of the season. While we were winning games, we were getting better every step of the way. And by the time, you know, we got to, I would even say like All-Star break, I was like, it could be real. Like we definitely have a chance this year. And this was just another stepping stone going to that goal.
De'Aaron, congratulations on advancing to the NBA Finals. When you see the NBA Finals, what do you picture?
Man, one, I picture us holding the trophy at the end, but I mean, just thinking of everything that goes into it, just the blood, sweat, the tears, the travel, everything that we go through throughout the course of the regular season, and then adding another 30 games, like that does a lot to your body, but I think we're built for it. I think we're prepared for it.
And what is your message to San Antonio? The Spurs fans have been supporting you guys that came all the way here from San Antonio. What does it mean to you guys as a team that they've been supporting you all throughout this journey so heavily?
I mean, one of the most loyal fan bases that you'll probably ever be around in any sport. And me being from Texas, like I've actually gone to a finals game in San Antonio when they were playing Miami, so I've seen what the crowd can be like. I've seen how loud it can get. And just we're continuing to get better every day, and we're trying to bring another championship back to San Antonio. So that's my message.
Over to your left, you mentioned the group of young guys that have gotten this far, but how have you seen this group reach the level that has been asked of them every step of the way?
I mean, one, we have the talent. That's kind of where it starts. And then second, we have guys who are willing to listen. Whenever you're learning, to play basketball, you're learning by step. And I just tell guys all the time, when you go from college to the NBA, it's like a totally different game that you're playing. And I think they've learned that. And then our coaching staff has been excellent for us all year with the film, with making minor adjustments, the big adjustments. And we have a group of guys who are willing to listen to coaches and willing to listen to one another. And we just help each other. If you miss an assignment, someone's going to tell you. It's not coming out of a place of hate. We all want to win. And we have guys that are willing to accept that and go out there and make the correct and won't make the same mistake.
And quick follow-up, it's outside looking in, but it is definitely.
That was De'Aaron Fox and his post-game thoughts after knocking off the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, 111-103. Fox once again having a big game with 15 points and 3 big made three-pointers, also 5 assists, 3 steals as San Antonio punches their ticket to the NBA Finals, and he has been a big part of what the Spurs do. That three-headed point guard monster that the Spurs have in the backcourt with Steph Castle, De'Aaron Fox, and Dylan Harper closed the game, and the Spurs were able to come away with the victory in big part because they have those 3 guards that a lot of critics, and I never understood the criticism, thought couldn't play together. And all 3 of them are guys that have developed three-point shots and can slash to the rim and can create for others. It is certainly a luxury to have those 3 either on the court at the same time or staggered. And you look at the slash bros known as Steph Castle and Dylan Harper. De'Aaron Fox is kind of left out of that conversation. He's a little bit older. He's 28 years old. He's known as Unk, but he certainly gets his respect and flowers on this show, and we think that he will be a big part in what the Spurs do to try and match Jalen Brunson in the NBA Finals. We wrap up the show with my thoughts on the NBA Finals schedule and why the final schedule is good for the Spurs to maybe have a chance to come away with the 6th NBA championship in franchise history. We'll tell you what I think about the final schedule and why it has some good opportunities for the Spurs as we start the finals on Wednesday night here in San Antonio. We'll talk about it on the other side to wrap up the show here on Ticket 760. Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go Vassell the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go.
In this edition of the Marketer's Report, Monica Tam, head of brand media for DoorDash, discusses the power of audio influencers.
Everyone can advertise and say the same thing. I think it holds different weight when it comes from somebody that you inherently trust and listen to every day. And I think when you're tapping into voices like hosts and podcasters, you're being able to be part of that community, but in a very authentic way so that it does not come off as like I'm trying to preach to you what to buy, but actually being from a position of here is how DoorDash can provide relief, or here is how we can be additive to your day-to-day.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to all the audiences, live conversations, trusted influencers, and the insights and data you need to grow, and all guaranteed human. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Hey guys, it's us, the Jonas Brothers. I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Nick. And guess what? We created our own podcast.
And it's called Hey Jonas.
Listen to Hey Jonas on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Car wreck? What happens next? Thomas J. Henry knows you deserve to get compensated for your injuries. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Visit thomasjhenrylaw.com. The name you know, the firm you trust. Principal Office, San Antonio.
On+ nicotine pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On+ nicotine pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
iHeartRadio wants you to see Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson live on their co-headlining tour. And you pick the city. We'll handle everything. And you'll meet Rob Zombie. Just tap the contest tab when listening to us on the free iHeartRadio app to enter. Tickets at livenation.com.
This is the highlight of my morning. Hey, what's up? It's Island.
And I'm Josh.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit is that it's our go-to morning comfort.
And you've got that nice golden fluffy egg.
With a soft, flaky biscuit.
Crispy bacon.
Melty cheese.
You want something quick, you want something convenient, but most of all, you want something good.
There's no better way to start your morning.
There we go.
Start off the morning with a Chick-fil-A Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit with Simply Orange Juice. Order on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Kids grow faster than paychecks and somehow need a whole new wardrobe every 6 months. Tidy Little Financial Consultants with juice boxes. At Kid to Kid Hebner Road, you can buy and sell gently used kids' clothes, toys, baby gear, shoes, cleats, and even score pro and college fan gear for your future MVP. Kid to Kid buys size preemie through 20 youth and pay cash or 20% or more in-store credit. Save money, clear the clutter, and shop sustainably. Located at Hebner and Northwest Military. Follow at Kid to Kid Hebner Road on Instagram. Kid to Kid Hebner Road. Buy, sell, save.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
He didn't make the team, but he's in our starting lineup. Back to Carl Schoening.
Starting lineup wrapping up here on Ticket 760. Dan Patrick is next, and we obviously are Spurs heavy on this show, and the Spurs start the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks on Wednesday. And it's nice, LG, you and I got so used to working every other day or having to deal with the Spurs playing every other day, I should say, that I think the final schedule helps the Spurs out more than it helps out the Knicks, because here's how it goes. The Spurs wrapped up the Western Conference Finals on Saturday, so that means they got Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday to recover. Tuesday is obviously going to be media day, but it's nice to have those few days off because it was a grueling series and they don't have to jump right into this series, right? So then the next game will be Friday. So they get Thursday off. They play Friday. So there is the every other day there for games 1 and 2. But then they get the weekend off. They get Saturday and Sunday off. Obviously a travel day on Sunday to take on the Knicks on Monday. And then Game 4 is Wednesday. So it's every other day when the series shifts to New York. But then the Game 5, if necessary, is Saturday. So Thursday and Friday off for the Spurs. I like these 2-day breaks because the Spurs are possibly the more banged up team here. We talk about all the little injuries that didn't make the injury report, but I do appreciate these few days off. The Knicks have had significantly longer time to recover, and I'm sure they have their bumps and bruises too. Nobody's 100% healthy, but that is like a nice change of pace instead of having the games being played every other day like we did in the conference finals. You have these extra days to recover before the travel day back to your home city.
That's true, and this has been set in stone since the beginning of the season. The NBA set the final schedule out there. So, I mean, they're sticking with it, and I would rather have it every other day for my scheduling purposes, but I'm just being selfish at that point.
Yeah, you don't have to run and jump on hardwood.
That's true, but I would like to be able to plan my life out a little bit earlier in the summer than later. So Game 7 would be on June 19th. if that was the case. And that's, the final starting on June 3rd and going through the 19th. That's a long stretch if it goes that long.
Yeah, and I hope that the Spurs can win this in 5. I might give an official prediction, but I'm not somebody who really likes to give predictions in this heavily gambling
We'll give
world.
predictions on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll tomorrow. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I have to think about when Tuesday is sometimes. But yeah, and I'm about to give an unpopular opinion, but I think at the end of that Spurs Thunder series and watching the post-game press conferences and seeing how he's moved on throughout the course of the series, I got to give Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a little bit more credit. He's bumped up a few points. He started off this series as the notorious flopper and all of those things that were the main discourse around the Thunder coming into the conference finals. But I think he saw those criticisms and decided that he wasn't going to let that define him. And I felt in games 6 and 7, he started to play a little bit more straight up. He still had a few occasional opportunities to try and sell a call where he did, but he actually landed on his feet a lot more in games 6 and 7. Maybe that's partly because of the gambling company Underdog making that game called Unethical Hoops where he had to send a cease and desist letter. Maybe it's just the general discourse around him on social media, but I thought SGA played his best game 7. I thought he played the most like real basketball in game 7. The only real questionable kind of flop that he had was the entire time on a shot attempt, he was trying to get Devin Vassell off his feet with a pump fake, and he then proceeded to drift into Vassell on the closeout, and Vassell did such a good job on the closeout that he wasn't going to hit SGA, and he ended up jumping like 2 feet to his left, not a natural shooting motion. SGA was awarded the free throws. However, that was really one of the only couple times that I thought SGA tried to sell a foul in that game 7 unnecessarily, and he picked up what I guess the rest of the world was saying was a negative, and he realized he didn't want to have a negative, and he proceeds to have his best game of the series. So in a weird way, I wonder if he didn't even realize how his foul baiting was affecting his game and throwing him off his rhythm and keeping him from maybe being a better basketball player because he was trying to get to the free throw line. And I also need to give a shout out to the officials, because if you remember in the end of game 5, Adam Silver went on the Pat McAfee show and said the officiating's been great, and that immediately led to a whole bunch of backlash from social media. And I think the officials saw that, and they decided they were not going to gift the Thunder those foul calls anymore. That also helped, I think, the Spurs, who play ethical basketball, win the Western Conference Finals. We are so happy that we have more Spurs basketball in this city. It has been a fun ride, and the ride is not over yet. We will definitely be back tomorrow morning to talk about how the Spurs match up with the Knicks. We can probably officially move on from the Thunder. I think I'm done talking about them until at least next, probably about the draft. I'll talk about them on the draft. NBA offseason is always going to be fun. We'll get into all of that here on the starting lineup. Dan Patrick next on Ticket 760. See y'all tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Spurs Insider, brought to you by SWBC.
Victor Wembanyama scored 22 points to lead all 5 starters in double figures, and the Spurs defeated the Thunder 111-103 in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals Saturday at the Paycom Center, win the best-of-7 series 4-3. Julian Champagnie added 20 points in a playoff high 6 3-pointers. Spurs advance to the NBA Finals for the 7th time in franchise history as they host the Knicks in Game 1 beginning Wednesday, June 3rd. Tip times at 7:30 on Spurs Radio 1200 WOAI.
At SW.